Most landscapers think that having a great brand comes down to a fancy website, a good looking logo, and maybe having a couple of trucks wrapped. But I'm here to tell you that that's actually not the case. Building a great brand comes down to one thing, which is trust. What's going on, you guys? This is Matt Thibeau here with Savant Marketing Agency. And in this video, we're going to be talking all about brand strategy and how you can build a trust based brand that's designed to accelerate your advertising results so that you can grow your business more aggressively. The first step in this process of building a trust based brand is through association. Basically, what I believe is a brand is essentially a pairing of different associations, whether it be different people, different companies, different behaviors. The type of associations that people make with your brand are going to be a part of what a brand is. If you're trying to be known as a higher end outdoor living contractor who does premium service jobs, then a marketing activity that you probably don't want to do is to spam Facebook groups with a very spammy, price kind of oriented ad that's just flying in people's face and says stuff about grass cutting. That is in complete opposition of what you want to associate yourself with as a higher end company and brand, right? Typically, spamming Facebook groups is associated with someone who's a smaller company, maybe a one man show, someone who's just trying to kind of hustle and get some free marketing, right? And so, because that activity might work in the short term, it's actually hurting you in the long term because that activity is associated with a cheaper contractor and not in line with the brand that you're trying to build. Another example of a bigger brand that is really good at building their brand through association is Apple. They have positioned themselves as being a more creative, premium, sleek, and cool type techie company, but we don't really see them as a tech company. They position themselves more as part of pop culture. And that's all through the associations that they have done through having beautiful design and great marketing and pictures and imagery. Whereas when we look at something like Microsoft, they have positioned themselves as being more of like the techies tech, like computer guys would work with that type of brand. And that also they're more affordable and they're kind of just more mainstream in general. And so this is really important because whether or not you're aware of these associations, people are making these connections in their minds. So you want to be very aware of what type of activity, what type of brands are we associating with, and what are the implications of that association. The second part of this process is going to be consistency. Simply just by showing up and having constant consistency in your messaging and your exposure is going to start accelerating trust, right? If you are consistently showing up in someone's life and they are seeing exposure of your brand constantly, this is going to start to build trust because you're just more familiar. The human brain tends to gravitate to that which it's very familiar with. When I bought my first car, my parents, their car was a Honda Civic. And so when I went out, when I was around 19 years old to buy my first car, the first thing that I looked for was a Honda Civic. And I didn't even know why I was doing that. It was because it was very familiar with me because I was exposed to it a lot. And so the same thing applies to your business. If you can have consistent exposure to your target market, this is going to build trust with them. Another example of this is that there is a local roofing company in our city. I'm not going to name them, but their brand, just to be completely blunt, is really ugly. Like, I don't like how they look. I don't like the logo and how they present themselves. But if it's one thing that they do really, really well, is consistency. I see their brand, it's being exposed everywhere. They're sponsoring local sporting events. I see stickers all over Ottawa. I see yard signs. I see lawn signs. I see Facebook ads. I see Google ads. They have great exposure. And so just by being exposed like that, I have a little bit more of a familiarity and a little bit more of an affinity towards that brand, despite the fact that I don't actually like how they've brand themselves. The other part of consistency is going to have a consistent message and a consistent vibe. Nothing is going to break trust faster than if your brand is constantly changing. This is why doing things like rebrands are damaging if you do it too often. This is why in political campaigns, you'll notice they just keep it super simple and have like one line, and they just repeat that one line over and over and over and over again, is because the consistent message builds trust. Whereas if your company is selling a specific product, or let's say that like you have a specific messaging, like you're trying to go after a higher end market, but then you start putting out ads that are all about price and like price slashing, like this is an inconsistency in your message, and this is going to break a lot of trust. So going back to what I said earlier with the association, the same thing applies here where you might get a short-term win. Like let's say you're hurting for money, and so you put out like just a quick discount thing to the public. You might get some sales from that, but it's going to hurt you long term because you have eroded the trust with your audience because they thought that you wouldn't ever do discounts like that, etc. So having a consistent message, a consistent vibe is extremely important for optimizing your brand for trust. And the third step in this process is time. Time is arguably one of the most important aspects in building trust. If you think about, let's say, your relationship with your wife or your spouse, that relationship was built over time. It's not like you can create a relationship and build all this trust within a week. This is something that takes months or years to build up. And just like, in a relationship, when it comes to business and building a brand, time is an extremely important factor in all of that, right? Because you could do the association, but if you associate yourself with a different pairing of brands and you do that, but you only do it for a week, that's not going to have much of an impact. But if you associate yourself with something and you do it over the period of 5 years, that is absolutely going to have an impact. And the same thing with the consistency as well in the message and exposure, right? If for 1 month someone is seeing pictures and videos of your brand, well, it might have a little bit of an impact. But if you do that for 1 year, that is absolutely going to have a larger impact. And that's why adding time to the equation of association and consistency is going to be a crucial element in all of this. And I know that, landscapers, when they do marketing, sometimes it's a seasonal business, right? So you're tempted to turn marketing on and off when maybe cash flow is lower. But I'm telling you that you should never stop marketing, because what you're risking to do is you're removing the consistency. So I strongly advise that you don't try and mix and match these, that if you commit to all three of these, then you're going to build a trustworthy brand that someone is seeing often, that someone is associating with the type of brands you want to be associated with, and they're experiencing your brand over a long duration of time so that they can actually build the trust and relationship with your company. So guys, those are the 3 steps in building a trust-based brand. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up, give it a subscribe. If you have any questions for me, you can comment below. I'm happy to answer any of your questions. And if you're watching this right now and you own a landscaping or outdoor living business, and you're looking to scale up your business to the next level using online advertising, Facebook and Google ads and all these things, we would love to support you this year. All you got to do to book a call with our company is click the link below and book your free strategy call today. We would love to speak with you. All right, guys, I'll see you on my next video.